Hi, hello, welcome. I titled this "No Chat" so that if someone comes in the middle of the video, they're not like, hopefully, like, where's the chat? Every now and then, I do a video with no live chat. Comments open, I guess. I don't have my glasses, so I'm gonna do my best. I'm like, hold up, there we go. Okay, I'm not trying to play reverses in here. And I've done it for different reasons. Sometimes it's a part of the experience. Today, I'm going to start by getting an element from the Elemental Oracle and a dragon from the Star Dragon Oracle cards, Star Dragons Oracle cards. And I don't have my glasses, so I'm not going to read a book. I'm finishing the bottle of wine. It wasn't even a glass. The cup is too big for the bottles. It's like I don't even get 5 glasses because I pour them so full. But anyway, I guess the sun and Jupiter just conjuncted, aka Jupiter just went Kazemi in late Taurus, which means that conjunction was happening around my moon. And for some reason yesterday, I'm just like, I know I'm weird, but am I that weird? I'll explain. um, I'll explain, but first I'm gonna get one of these, and I'll like briefly told my journey buddy, and she's like, "What are you talking about?" I guess different. I think sometimes the way that I see the world, perceive of the world, and choose to navigate through it can be not necessarily typical. Don't mind this. It's the vibe today. This is the vibe today. All right, but first, and I'm gonna attempt to do this without getting accusatory or aggressive. I'm gonna try, and then we'll see. I kind of thought about like, do I go live and talk about it? I'm like, why not? So I want an element first. I'll give it 3 shuffles. If nothing comes out after I finish talking, then I'll just pull the card at the top. So that's number 1. Oh, there we go. Thank you. So the intention is to get like an elemental dragon, but to break or to get the element separate from the dragon. And then I had the thought, because I have another dragon oracle deck, to like compare the element and dragon with an elemental dragon, because some of the dragons in there are elementals, but it's fine. We're not gonna go that far. The card that did come out though is number 43, looks like Alchemy Magic. When I was talking about elements, I was more so thinking, not alchemy and magic. Bottom of the deck is expansion and north. Oh, yeah. I was thinking about it. Sometimes when I think about stuff, I kind of run through it, some of it in my head first. And I was going to be like, this is a gift from my north node in Sagittarius. I almost said Taurus and then Scorpio. A gift from my north node in Sagittarius that doesn't come with a receipt. So also, I don't know if you'll see it, but there's one balloon. There is one birthday balloon that remains semi-inflated enough. Oh, it almost came in a frame, but it didn't. Anyway, it's like in this area. It's right here right now. Oh, that's quite a ways. Anyway, I'm going to try to focus. All right, so we have the element, and then the dragon is number 21, resilience. So the dragon of alchemy or the dragon of magic is about resilience. I also love that it's like 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a countdown. I was gonna like, because in my mind it was like ascending, but it came out descending. 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! Which kind of, sort of makes sense. Alchemy, magic, making things happen, a countdown. Bottom of the deck is legacy, persistence. Number 8. This is interesting. Finding your limits, because we have resilience and persistence, legacy and finding your limits. North is 1, so there's kind of like this 18 energy, which is like the moon, and I'm a Pisces. So, I'm a Pisces by day, Taurus by night, I guess, because my moon is in Taurus. I didn't really get any further than this in my mind, but this is appropriate. So I saw another video. Like I said, this is more often than not, when I bring something up, it's to like make a point or to illustrate a point or to like sometimes it's to bring up an element of consideration. Like if we are frustrated with or at someone else, it's to like realize how sometimes too we may do something that we're frustrated with somebody else about, just as like a point of relation, Like let's say that one day there's some kind of emergency and you are like zipping through traffic and maybe you're not driving the most safely. But in your mind, it's justified because of whatever. Not to say that every time someone's driving, whatever through traffic, that's the case. But it's like, let's say that one day you're driving down the street and you suddenly get like cut off by someone and they're like moving in a hurry. Like maybe it's an emergency. You know what I mean? So it's to give grace and to give lenience sometimes. Or it's to be the basis of some kind of understanding, and it's to put us at the center. Like if I'm talking to somebody that I know, like it's to put us at the center of that understanding, right? So anyway, I was watching a video some time ago. Not too long ago, but not yesterday. Honestly, at this point, the days all blend together. And somebody just mentioned the word like archon. And to me, I feel like I've talked about it in a way, but I guess there's going to be I'm going to communicate it how I perceive of it. And then maybe it's just to be taken as an open-ended question, or maybe it's just nonsense garbage that you don't even have to sit through and watch. But someone was talking about like archons, not necessarily in a super contextual archon way, more so just in the way of like the Matrix or even the Matrix itself. Like I feel like in my mind, sovereignty, kingdom, queendom, emperordom, or empressdom involves a certain level of authority. And to have that authority in the spiritual context is one thing, right? So, like, I guess the first question is like, what does it mean to be sovereign or a king, queen, emperor, empress, especially in a spiritual context? Because I feel like I'll see people mention being sovereigns and emperors, empresses, kings, and queens, and having some kind of spiritual authority. But at the same time, I'll see someone talk about like archons. And in my mind, it goes back to, I forget what the thing was, but it was like maybe a month or 2 months ago where there was something happening and I was listening. I was like watching different videos and just like listening to people in the social media sphere. And people on my friends list all over my social media, like people that I grew up with, people that I know in real life that I went to like school with. Overall, things are getting a lot more like spiritual vibrational, frequential, healing this, shadow work that, right? And there was something that was going on, and I remember talking about it on here as I feel like we're not taught the power of our attention, attention. I feel like the power of intention is mentioned fairly often, but our power of attention is like basically absent, especially when the line of thinking is if you see it or if you pay attention to it, then it's going to happen in your reality. So to prevent it from happening, you have to ignore it and pretend like it's not happening, essentially. So there's like I feel like that's what I see, and then I hear people talk about archons or whatever. And I guess in my mind, it's like it's almost like to give your power away in a way, if I can keep using the lingo or whatever. In my mind, it feels like there's a lot of like co-signing of that. Because in Patrick Land, it's like if I claim to be sovereign or to be of some kind of spiritual authority in my life, in terms of like, because the spirit precedes the material, because the spirit precedes the mental, because the spiritual comes before all of that. So to know that something is in the works or happening, like if I am sovereign or some king, queen, emperor, empress, whatever, like would I not, would it not serve me more to use whatever spiritual authority I claim to have or that I think I have to like refute a happening? You know what I mean? Like it's probably not. I feel like when I was thinking about it before this, it made more sense. But now that I'm trying to talk about it, the order is all off. I don't blame the wine. I do wish I had more though, because that's literally all I have left. Um, so yeah, so in my mind, it's like almost like giving one's power away. And that's why sometimes I'll talk about it in terms of like, I feel like in the spiritual community in general, so in multiple flavors of spirituality, it's almost like we are empowered enough to become these beings whose thoughts consciously manifest reality. It's like we get as far as being told how to consciously manifest reality, but we're not necessarily taught how to consciously combat a manifested reality, because we're kind of sort of taught that if we give attention to it, then we're feeding it and it's going to happen. So consciously, it's like we direct or we pull our consciousness away from whatever's happening. And so that's why to me, sometimes it's like to hear someone talk about, it's almost like a metaphor, a simile of it could be something political. Like, let's say that there's someone who doesn't exercise their right to vote, and it's a metaphor. Like the politics of the political metaphor are irrelevant. But it's like there's someone who is constantly frustrated and upset at their local, statewide, or national governance. Like, oh, they're doing this and they're doing that, but they don't exercise their power to vote. It's like there's nothing that is done to counteract what is happening, but there's a whole lot of complaining about it happening. But going beyond that, because nothing is done and because one is tapped into some sort of into some sort of power, it's almost like to be aware of it and to do nothing is to co-sign it. And so now it's like our spiritual authority and our power can be hijacked in a certain type of way, because we're almost deceived into co-signing things, making them much, much, much more likely to happen. Again, it's like we get empowered enough to feel like we're doing something in our life sometimes, but then when it comes to like actually making larger, grander changes, or when it comes to, larger, greater, bigger happenings, then it's like we're right back at that powerless. Like the powers that be are at play, but the powers that be are like devious energies or people. And that's pretty much it. Cause so like in my mind, again, like if there is something that I feel is happening worldwide, or if I see or come across like some kind of like this is going to happen or that's going to happen and there's going to be massive this or nationwide that, like I'll be real quick to be like, not in my reality. You know what I mean? And just like I'll manifest a donut or a job or a vacation or whatever. My hair came out. This one in the back. Anyway, sorry. I just felt it like hit my back. But just like I'll manifest any of that in my personal life, I'm the like not no, not in my universe, not in my reality, not no, like I'm not going to co-sign that. Now, if it happens anyway, then those are the limitations of my personal whatever. But I'm not going to co-sign it, and I'm not going to resign myself to something like that happening. And that's pretty much it. I feel like that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. And so again, I guess the questions are like, what does spiritual authority and autonomy mean to you? And how does that interact with other sort of circumstances goings on and happenings? And I feel like that's it. Wow, this thing have to be like an hour. Like, not gonna lie, I kind of do like want to pull more cards, but like I don't have to. Again, because it'll be like stuff like, for example, back before what was happening in the world now is happening now, there was like talk about a World War III for like no reason. Like if a war broke out now because of the atrocities that are being committed, it's less like for no reason. Like there would be a reason. You know what I mean? But back then it was like, no, because nobody is asking for war. Nobody wants a war. That's not happening. When it was like, oh, the government is going to do this and do that, and there's going to be nationwide starvation. So start planting your seeds now because there's not going to be any power and there's not going to be any food and everyone's going to be starving. I'm like, no, not in my reality. I'm not co-signing that. Now, food still got like super expensive and it's difficult. Yeah, but I'm not going to co-sign. Like, why would I do that? Why would me, as an empowered through spirituality, especially individual, co-sign that? Or it'll be like these solar flares are happening and they're going to wipe out all of the power across planet Earth, and it's going to be carnal savagery and all of this and all. And it's like, no, I'm not going to co-sign that. Now, if it happens again, that's a limitation of me or whatever. The things that need to happen will happen regardless, but you're not going to convince me to co-sign that. No, not in my reality, not in my experience. That's not going to happen. It doesn't need to. There are other less extreme ways to go about to go about accomplishing something. And so again, to me, maybe it's because that's how I interpret autonomy and sovereignty and spiritual authority and potential realities, especially large scale on the planet. Like, I'm not going to co-sign that with whatever power that I believe me to have. Why would I do that? And so for me to hear someone else talk about, well, archons are doing this and archons are doing that, but they're not using, and again, I don't know. There is no one that I know 100%. You know what I mean? Even the people that I don't know that well. And I don't know what people are doing behind closed doors or off the videos. But to me, it's like to claim to have some kind of authority and to mention this and to not seemingly use that authority in any way, even if it's a single vote in a nation of billions of people, to not use your one vote to vote against that, but to vote for it in some kind of not complacency, but to not vote against it because maybe you don't think you have a choice or because it's already set in motion or it's already going to happen. Like, that's where, to me, the disconnect kind of is. That's why, to me, sometimes it can sound, to some who are maybe more politically minded, it can sound like not a bunch of people. It can sound like someone who is complaining about the state of the world, complaining about what their government is doing, but they're not exercising any of their rights to ensure that different things happen. And maybe that's the dragon of alchemy. I don't know. The cards came in. I don't know. 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, and then 0, the Fool. Anyway, that's what I got. I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and what you find. And I hope that when it comes to you being empowered and when it comes to you recognizing who you are and the divinity, the aspect of divinity, the spark of divinity that runs through you, that like you I don't know how to communicate it. It's just like, I hope you can utilize that in all of the ways that are made available to you, outside of what some powers that be may convince you, And it's like the lottery. The people who run lotteries don't want people to win. The people who run casinos don't want people to get money, but somebody has to be paid or else people won't keep showing up. And the analogy in that is, again, it's like how we are so generally empowered in so many ways, but when it comes to some of the ways that really matter, it's like our best course of action is to ignore it and to act like it's not happening, because if we pay attention to it, then we're co-signing it. When in reality, sometimes it can be the opposite. Like, to allow it to happen, to pretend like it's not happening, doesn't always stop it from happening. Maybe sometimes it is the best course of action, and sometimes it comes down to our personal levels of comfort with some situations, maybe, or our beliefs in what we can do or what we can't do, or our capabilities and capacities, Like, if you can't stop a moving semi-truck, then like maybe it's best to brainstorm different ways to prevent or to minimize whatever kind of casualties or gruesomeness of an accident, right? Like, maybe you can catch somebody with a fishing hook and pull them back rather than jumping in front of the semi and then you both get hit, So anyway, that's what I got. Bye.